Good morning, church. My name is Martin Fisher. This is my wife, Steph. Oldest son, Jackson, and Luke is asleep on his grandmother over there on the other side. But as I was reflecting this week on the impact of grace on our lives, I was reminded that we've been a part of grace the entirety of our relationship. Steph and I met in college at Ole Miss. I was a couple years ahead of her, and met her first week as a freshman. And around that same time, Baldwin Smith, who was on staff with Cru and is now in Italy as a missionary with his family, invited me to check out Grace. And that was almost 14 years ago. And there's a lot that's happened in 14 years. At that time, we were dating, became engaged as attendees of Grace, and joined when we got married, and have now become parents. And so there's a lot that I could share about the impact of this church, but it's safe to say that it has had a significant impact on our life. I was thinking just of a few things that I could summarize as the impact of the church on our lives. And the first that I thought about was community. I was thinking about the community groups we've been a part of through the years. Early on, when we were first married, we were part of a community group that had a lot of different ages and stages of life represented. Folks like us that were newlyweds or engaged. There were several members in our community group that were in their 60s and 70s and kind of everywhere in between. And I just remember thinking about how much we learned from being in community with people in different stages of life during that pivotal point as newlyweds. And then the community group that we're in now, led by the Lynches, who spoke last week, that group has been particularly special to us as we've walked through high highs and low lows together. And it's been really special to us to be a part of that. And so community has been particularly important to us, and I think particularly in small groups. The second thing I thought of was the unique opportunities that Grace has given us to serve. I thought of a couple of examples through the years. The first one kind of makes me laugh a little bit, and I told JD this recently. I was right out of college, and one of the other staff members approached me to ask if I would handle the finances for the church. I was ill-equipped for that job, but I said yes. And so for 6 months, I paid the bills and prepared the giving statements and all those things. And after 6 months, they hired the first staff member that had administrative responsibilities and cleaned up the accounting, I can assure you. So that was the kind of the first chance I had to substantially serve. And then we were given the gift of being able to be Grace's first part-time youth directors. We at Grace previously had some parents that had led some youth activities, but the elders approached Steph and I and asked if we would be willing to, we were working full-time in our own jobs, but asked if we would be interested in helping formalize a youth group, and we did that for 2 years, and I can assure you it gave us way more than we gave to it, and so we're very thankful for that. And so I think those couple of examples point to a couple things. One, just the opportunities that Grace gives and trusts its members to serve. But also I think it points to the growth of the church. Of those couple of examples of us, serving are now staff members. Drew came on as a full-time youth pastor, and there's been administrative staff since then. You could either look at it and say they had to hire people to clean up our mess, or the church has just grown a lot over time, which I think is probably the second. But then the last thing I would say that we're particularly appreciative of is the teaching and the biblical instruction that we receive week in and week out, whether that's JD or CJ or whoever the elders trust here at the podium. We know that what we received as a dating couple, engaged, young married, now attempting to raise a couple boys in a way that honors God. We know that every time we step in this church that we're going to receive biblical truth, and we're particularly thankful for that. So safe to say Grace has meant a lot to us over the years, and we hope that it will continue to be a significant part of our family for years to come. So thank you.